Now, streaming live, this is KSLA News Now.
Thanks for joining us. You're watching KSLA News Now. I'm Ashley Graham. We are now officially out of our series of first alert weather days, but the Arklatex is still feeling the effects of the winter storm. The death toll in Louisiana from this storm is now at 8 people, with 7 of those deaths happening right here in our part of the state. 2 of the deaths happened in Shreveport. In DeSoto Parish, a 79-year-old woman who died from hypoxia after a power outage. A 49-year-old man was killed in a motor crash, and 86-year-old Alvin Mayweather died from carbon monoxide poisoning. In Sabine Parish, a 62-year-old man and 59-year-old woman died from hypothermia due to a power outage. And in Franklin Parish, a 78-year-old woman died from hypothermia. If you find yourself or your loved ones in need of a warming center tonight, the Louisiana Red Cross, they've set up a warming shelter at the Louisiana State Fairgrounds. And other warming centers in the Shreveport-Bossier area include Rescue Mission on McNeil Street, the Hope House on Austin Place, the Salvation Army on East Stoner, and Hope Connections on Levy Street. You can also see a list of locations on our KSLA News 12 app or KSLA.com. This is viewer video right now of a traffic jam that's turned Interstate 20 westbound in the Ruston area into a parking lot. It's been so busy out there the last 2 days because of stranded 18-wheelers and drivers. We talked to one woman who said that her husband was traveling from their home in Georgia to Dallas earlier when all of a sudden they ran into this massive backup.
They were that's really pretty much all they saw was 18-wheelers that were just, stuck, couldn't move, couldn't get around. No one could move.
How could
I think it was really by the grace of God. I think they were just, trying to maneuver the vehicle as humanly, as possible, and whatever that was possible for them to do. And some kind of way they maneuver their way through. I think they're just trying to take back roads to see, what's passable and what's not. So
all right.
It's trial by error still. So we're not out of the woods yet.
At this hour, LSP and the National Guard, they are still trying to get that interstate back moving again. You can also see our KSLA News 12 website or the KSLA First Alert weather app for any road closure updates as we receive them. We understand many of you are ready to get back on the road, but before you do, we do have some tips to help you deal with the ice on your car, making sure you do it safely. De-icer is common for people to use on their windshields and windows to remove frozen ice, but if you don't have any de-icer, you can mix 3/4 cup of rubbing alcohol with 1/4 cup of water to make your own de-icer. Now, water is by itself another helpful tool, but don't use warm water on your glass because it can break your windshield and your windows.
Yeah, so I use my handy dandy little kitchen spatula. So I know I don't have like a actual ice scraper just because in Louisiana you don't really need that. But I did a little bit of research. You could use different sprays or just a plastic, a hard plastic scraper. And so I was like, well, we're gonna do a little DIY thing, and I went and raided the kitchen and found this, and it worked pretty well actually. As you can see, it got most of the ice off.
Public officials say please do not drive until you can fully see out of your windshield and your back windows. Now, Shreveport Regional Airport is back up and running after the massive winter storm that grounded flights for the past 3.5 days. Shreveport Regional Business and Development Manager Mark Crawford says the runways were covered with several inches of ice, but they have been cleaned off and are expected to have all regular flights back on schedule for Wednesday. Relief there. And due to weather conditions, the City of Shreveport offices will remain closed on Wednesday, and garbage collection will pick back up on Thursday.
Well, the good news is we do have some warmer temperatures on the way the next couple of days. The bad news, though, another big cold front heading our way for the weekend. I'll have the details on that next.
KSLA First Alert Weather.
Welcome back. As we head through tonight and also tomorrow night, we're going to be watching for some fog. That's going to become the big concern. Dense freezing fog actually possible overnight tonight. And then again, we're talking about that potential as we get into tomorrow night as well. So if you're out late, watch out for some reduced visibility out there. Travel's still pretty hazardous because we had that melting take place during the day today. So the roads are still pretty wet as we drop below freezing for the next couple of nights, though those wet roads will still turn icy. So especially some of the side roads definitely still a little bit dicey and hazardous the next couple of nights. This weekend, though, another big blast of cold air is on the way. Look at our future track, though, as far as visibility. Could see some fairly dense and widespread fog first thing on Wednesday. That should burn off by the afternoon, only to return again as we head into Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. And again, because of the temperatures that are below freezing, this could be freezing fog, and that could create some very slippery spots on those roadways. So that is going to be a hazard the next couple of nights. Here's a look at the next couple of hours taking you through the evening. And we have some cloud cover out there now, and those clouds will stick with us through a majority of the overnight hours, maybe clearing out later on. It's going to be a cold night tonight, but not as cold as last night. Temperatures will be into the mid-20s as opposed to those teens that we had the last couple of nights, really. Some fog possible in the morning, and that could be some fairly dense fog, so keep that in mind if you're traveling early. Also watching out for some icy roads tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, though, I think we're looking at some pretty big improvements here with some sunshine and still not warm by any means, but it will be enough to melt away a lot of what's left on the ground. 49 in Shreveport and Bossier, 52 Natchitoches, 49 in Marshall, and 47 in DeQueen. So again, temperatures slowly starting to warm back up. However, we have another system on the way. Now, the good news with this next one is it's not going to bring any sort of moisture. There's really no winter precip with it, but it is going to bring some much colder air. So out ahead of that front, Thursday looks like a very mild day. In fact, we could have highs near 60, believe it or not, in parts of our area. That's going to melt away pretty much the rest of what's on the ground. Then this cold front swings through as we get to Thursday night. Friday, going to be a much colder day with high temperatures only in the mid-40s. It's also going to be kind of breezy. That's going to make it feel colder. And then we get into Friday night. It gets really cold. Frigid air returning with temperatures in the teens to low 20s by Saturday morning. And even though we're going to see a lot of sunshine on Saturday, it's going to be a very cold day. High temperatures will even struggle to get into the low to mid-30s. And with that wind, we could have wind chills the entire day in the 20s for your Saturday. So some very cold air moving in again for the weekend. But for tomorrow, not bad. We'll see some fog giving way to some sun in the afternoon, 49 degrees, 57 on Thursday. We're going to melt away a lot of the ice by Thursday. Then it gets colder again, 45 Friday, 34 on Saturday. Overnight temps dipping back into the low 20s Friday night and again Saturday night. And then we'll start to warm up again by next week.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for joining us here on our Fastcast. Join us right here again for our next newscast tonight at 10. We'll see you then.